Hello! Today I'd like to share one more idea with you. After having worked on a node board made of modules, I felt like continuing working with modules, but multicolored this time. I wanted a decorative panel picture consisting of bright multicolored modules integrated into floral motifs. For those who haven't watched the previous tutorial, I'd like to remind the way I make modules. It is more complicated than normal quilling. These are modules made of paper tubes. So I cut a used paper sheet into halves and roll such a tube around a thin pencil or a thick knitting needle. All of these modules have been made of tubes like this. This one has been rolled round a ruler, this one round a triangular eraser, that one round this pencil, this one round a phone charger. I've talked over these modules in detail in the previous tutorial, so those who missed it are welcome to watch it. As for this short tube, I made it over half of paper sheet cut into two. It is often required to fill in the gaps with small circles. Big ones are not fit for this purpose. That's why I rolled lots of small rings like this over a quarter of a paper sheet. Let me remind you that I necessarily moisten the tubes. In this case, they roll into the required module smoothly with no break or pinches. As a result, I get such a small module. Here you can see a big module, a triangular and an oval one. Please take a look at the way I work on the example of these floral motifs. I'd like to create flowers like this. So I take an oval module, select the front and the wrong side. This side is more pinched, so the front side will be an opposite one. I shape one edge sharp. The technique is similar to quilling, however, as we work with paper tubes, the item becomes rather volumetric. This panel picture is meant for some big rooms, for example to decorate the wall in a kindergarten or school, or for some exhibition. I mean, it is designed to decorate the room and make it brighter. As for such modules, I've already explained how to make them. Use a flat object, a bigger ruler or a smaller one. I like oak-side daisies very much. In this case, I've used a big ruler for making modules like this. These modules have been made with the help of a pencil. Well, everything's clear. Let me tell you a few words on the way I prepare the modules. As you can see, at first all of them are white. I arrange them to shape a definite pattern, after which I can see clearly how many parts I've got to paint and what colors. What do I paint the paints with? I take a bit of colorant, mix it with primer, add some varnish, about a tablespoonful. If you paint with this very mixture, the paints don't mix while the item is being varnished. So I've tried a solution like this and I really like it. The colors are bright because there's much colorant and little liquid. But thanks to the primer and varnish added, the paint sticks well to the item. Let me draw your attention to the composition of mixture I paint with once again, as I am often asked about it. I don't claim a monopoly of absolute truth. There are lots of various recipes. I'm just sharing the way I do. Deep invasive colorless primer for further painting. Here it is. I've taken about half a glass of it, 100–150 milliliters depending on your glass volume. I pour it into a bowl I don't use, add some colorant, about 2 tablespoons depending on how rich I'd like the color to be, and about a tablespoonful of acrylic lacquer, after which I mix the solution thoroughly. It is very important because otherwise colorant can get clumpy, which would spoil the way the item looks. So I mix it thoroughly and then just dip the parts into the mixture from both sides. Place the painted parts onto an oilcloth and let them dry. Only after they get dry I start sticking the parts together. Another essential point I'd like to draw your attention to is as follows. While creating our modules, it is important to use glue like waterproof D3. Here is the one I use. Only in this case the parts don't unroll when dipped into the painting solution. At first, when I was using normal paper glue, I had to add more adhesive to modules because they used to get unrolled after washing. Well, about half of all the modules have gotten unrolled, and I've had to glue them again. In order to avoid such a failure, I'd recommend you using this very type of adhesive. Let me show you the way I was uniting the segments on the example of this panel picture, Field of Cornflowers. A few words about the segments. My panel picture consists of such cornflowers made of triangles shaped like this. I just looked through some photos of cornflowers and improvised a pattern like this. So I've rolled some triangles, shaped them as required, dipped into light blue paint. The cornflower eyes are bright blue. I've added more colorant to the solution. The blue cornflowers are framed with a green field consisting of circles of various size painted with different shades of green. Well, everything's quite clear here. I'd like to draw your attention to the way I unite the segments in order to create a panel picture. First of all, I've made a round pattern. You can make it of newspaper or wallpaper. I'll show it to you in the end after I unite all the segments because it's beneath the picture right now. Then I put a piece of oilcloth onto the round pattern. If you have a piece of oilcloth big enough, it's perfect. In my case, I used 2 card sheet protectors. It has to cover the whole pattern and a bit more to leave your desk clean. Then I apply the following idea. Unfortunately, I don't remember whom I borrowed it from, but I really like it. Universal polymeric adhesive dragon is meant for gluing polystyrene items, plastic, wooden ones, ceramics, parquet, and so on. It is multifunctional, but unfortunately it trails. So when I was pouring it directly from the bottle, there were spreading stripes all along the item. I had to get rid of them afterwards. So I've recollected, having read once, that some weavers use syringe in their work. Take a look, please. Drop and adjoin. The next segment. Do you see, there are still some threads spreading, but anyway it is much neater working with a syringe. Continue. Drop. And unite. While rolling a segment, you've got the front and the wrong sides, cause you can hardly get both sides equally neat. So define the front and the wrong side and unite the parts. First of all, I place them along the pattern edge, creating a frame of the panel picture. Your panel picture will only look expressive if you think the composition over in thorough detail. So first of all, you have to arrange the modules before gluing them together. Take a look, please. My 3 flowers are clearly seen. The same concerns oxeye daisies. Here was my attempt to unite the parts at random, but it looks much worse. That's why I've decided to prearrange my cornflowers so that to make the picture look like a real field of cornflowers. So I've settled one cornflower in the center and surrounded it with half cornflowers. First of all, we've created a frame. Now pass on to the key elements, cornflowers. We unite the elements together. From the very beginning, try and notice the points where the elements are going to join each other and drop glue from a syringe. I mentioned already this practical idea, to pour glue into a large syringe. Open a syringe and pour glue from the top. Then put in a piston bag. It is much easier working this way. So drop glue onto adjoining points. Be very careful. The elements adjoin each other. Now I have to adjoin the next element. Drop here and here. Well, there are still some threads spreading, but anyway it is much easier and neater working this way than pouring glue right from a bottle. Drop. Again. The parts also join here, here, and here. At first the element joints are flexible, but in an hour or few they become fastened. However, it is even better to leave them overnight. So, the first cornflower has been glued. Now pass on to the next one. Only after that you can proceed with filling the gaps between them. So the key elements have been fastened. Let's fill in the gaps. It is very important to try an element on at first in order to define the points of adjoining to the neighboring parts. So stick it. this way. And here. Try on. Look, the front side and the wrong one. Define the points of joining. 1, 2, 3. As long as the material is flexible, you can shift it until it gets fast and you can experiment. Well, let's try on 2 small circles. 1, 2. Yes, it seems better this way. One, 2. And continue filling in the gaps, gluing the elements to each other. After the glue fastens overnight, the next morning you can varnish the item. Take a look, please. This item has been varnished already, the colors are bright. As for this one, it hasn't been yet. As you know, the item will become bright and shiny as soon as it is coated with lacquer. So the gaps have been filled in. Now I have to leave it for a while. Usually I glue the elements overnight and leave the item for drying. The next morning it turns into an integrated item like this. Take a look, please. I twist and turn it the way I like, and it proves strong enough. Oh, by the way, I've promised to show you the pattern. Now I can take it out already. Here it is. It is made of wallpaper. My pattern is 30 centimeters in diameter, which is about 12 inches. The nice thing about this item is that you can create a panel picture of any shape you like. Circle, oval, square, rectangle, and so on. As for the patterns and motifs, they are unlimited. It is autumn now. Just take a look outside and there's an unlimited source of imagination over there. So let's enjoy it.